On our latest episode, it's our fall gaming preview as Josh Peterson, Rob McCallum, and I break down the games to look forward to for the rest of the year. And what does Josh think of this season's Game of Thrones? All this plus another hit song from Hyperschmidt. And what do the hardcore gaming contingent want from Destiny 2? We ask one of the most popular Destiny clans to find out. I like that one. We ask one of the most popular Destiny clans to find out. It's a loot chest full of podcasting treasures we have for you today as we once again delve into the pop culture cosmos. And we're back with the wrong show. And we're back with the pop culture cosmos. I should say the pop culture cosmos. My name is Gerald Glassford from Pop Culture Cosmos and Game Source. We truly appreciate you being part of the show today. How is everyone out there? We just want to thank you again for stopping by our humble little podcast, our humble little show indeed. We truly appreciate being part of the podcast. And I'll tell you what, it wouldn't be a Pop Culture Cosmos fall gaming preview without the man, the myth, the legend, one of the voices behind the Super BS Gamescast, and also as well the high score guy, the guy that has his initials on the high score of Humanica Media. It's Josh Peterson. What's up, my friend?
Not much, man. Just hanging out here in SoCal where Mother Nature seems to be going through menopause. She's super hot, and then it's raining, then it's super hot again, then it's hot while it's raining. And so forgive me if you hear some fans in the background. I'm just like sweltering over here.
Well, no worries on that, but how long does it rain in Southern California? Because I haven't lived in Southern California in quite a spell, I should say.
It never really rains. During the winter, it sometimes does, but like today it only rained for like literally 2 minutes at a time. That's how.
Well, welcome to Las Vegas. There you go. You now have officially Las Vegas weather because it never rains for more than 5 minutes at a time here in Vegas, unfortunately. Although we can use it, 110 degrees. Don't like it. But anyways, we want to thank you again for being out here today. Josh, what you got going down with that awesome channel known as Humanica Media?
We have a new podcast called Inside Sports, and we've talked about it on here a little bit. We kind of rebranded it and started from episode 1. So you can catch that now on podcast.com, and it'll be up on iTunes as soon as it goes through the review process. And then tomorrow there'll be a new Super BS up. And Wednesday you can hear a new part of episode 4 of Topicocalypse, as well as the Tuesday show, Attack of the Humanican, on Podcast Radio Network.
Now, when it comes to the latest topics that have been on Topicocalypse, just mention a couple of those because, they're pretty much out there and all over the place when it comes to the type of things that your crew discusses.
Sorry, say that again?
I just wanted to say you were just your show Topicocalypse is just all over the map when it comes to topics is concerned, thus the name. So if you want to just enlighten people on some of the most recent episodes as far as the strange and different kind of topics, your crew approaches.
Yeah, it's weird because I'm kind of like with What About This, we talk about one solid topic, or the guys do, and it just kind of goes through for a bit. Topicocalypse, I'm trying to coax more conversation out of the guys. I've kind of learned that you have to be very specific when you pick weird topics. Like there's better conversation to come out of them. So with episode 4, we dove into how to date a 90-year-old woman after seeing a video on the internet. And then this last one was what was it? It was
fake news and how fake news may control the world.
Yes, how fake news controls the world, or will it control the world? The next episode is actually talks about surviving in the wild. I think it's someone said clothing optional. So coming soon.
Is that like Naked and Afraid? Did somebody just watch binge watch that all day long?
Anytime someone brings up survival now, somebody always has to be naked. And I think it's thanks to that show.
Seems like it indeed. But that's Topicocalypse. It's available through various Humanican media outlets. You want to check that out. Indeed, just appreciate everything that goes on there. In fact, occasionally you can actually find it on our bonus episodes from the Pop Culture Cosmos and the PCC Multiverse. Well, again, it's going to be a great show right here at the Pop Culture Cosmos. We truly appreciate you being part of the broadcast. We have been number one 6 months in a row on the Podcast Radio Network, and it's all because of you, and we just truly, truly appreciate it. First off, it's going to be our fall gaming preview because it's that time again. It's September, and my goodness, the hit titles, the video games that a lot of people all year long have been trying to hone in on and key in as the games to watch and the games that they're going to be saving up their money for this holiday season. They're finally starting to trickle out there. I guess kind of Madden kind of kicks it off, but that's still like an end of summer type deal. August, from kind of back and forth on how important that is to the video game industry. But September starts a big influx of games, starting with Destiny 2. And then, there's a whole list of games coming out for the rest of the year. But Josh, you and I want to focus on the games that we're looking forward to and that maybe we want to recommend to everybody out there that they need to take a closer look at as well. So I'll start with you, Josh. What are some of the video games that you're looking forward to this fall season?
Well, I'm definitely looking forward to Assassin's Creed. The guys at Ubisoft kind of took some time off, which they needed to bring something new into the franchise. And we saw the footage at E3, and it looks different. You still have that Assassin's Creed aesthetic to it, but everything about this game looks a lot different from what they brought to the table before, especially with the new dynamics and the fighting mechanics, as far as like the fighting mechanics and the way you can steer your hawk around, and just the story as a whole. I'm hoping that this not only opens up a new chapter, but it also like shows us that the franchise is going somewhere and will eventually, further down the line end.
Because the series itself has had its issue within the past few years, correct? The latest iterations, I should say.
Right, and that's not to say the games haven't been fun. Like, they've scored well with reviewers. IGN and Polygon, Kotaku have all scored the games, decent, above 7. So, but it's just the fact that we're spending all this time on these games, and they felt like they were getting lazy after a while. So a lot of the stuff that we did enjoy about previous entries, they didn't carry over to the new entries, and then as far as like the story goes, it felt like we were kind of just playing the game for the sake of playing it and not like having any clear direction. They're just kind of pumping stuff out, and a lot of these games started to feel like DLC after a while.
What else is outside of Assassin's Creed are you targeting in on? Because there's a number of great games. I'll actually throw one out there that actually comes on the same day, and it's October 27th, if I'm not mistaken, the same day Assassin's Creed is scheduled to come out. And it's for me, I think that day will be special because Wolfenstein 2, the New Colossus, I think that's the name of the title. Hold on. Yes, Wolfenstein 2, the New Colossus, will be coming out on the same day Assassin's Creed Origins is coming out, and also as well Super Mario Odyssey. So that's going to be a great day for gamers. As of right now, they're all scheduled to come out. Wolfenstein 2 continues the story of BJ Blazkowicz, and I'll tell you what, I was very surprised when I played through Wolfenstein on how good it was of a narrative. I enjoyed it thoroughly. Yes, it's a linear first-person shooter, but it harkens back to those days where it told a really good narrative while you were executing and going through the motions and whatnot. It provided challenges along the way, and I thoroughly enjoyed it the first time around. I think it was a wonderful, wonderful recreation of the Wolfenstein franchise, and definitely this with this Wolfenstein 2, the New Colossus, from what I've seen, the footage already, it just definitely looks like it's something that could really score again well with gamers. So, Wolfenstein 2 has been,
It's a
my pick on the October 27th. So, oh, you were saying?
oh, it's Wolfenstein. It's a fun world. It's a very dystopian type universe that we're playing in, but it's just fun because you're walking through, you have parts where you're walking through Nazi towns and like you see all this stuff. It's fun to think to yourself, like, beyond the man in the high castle type stuff, but like you're to think like what this is.
So what if scenario basically?
Yeah, it's a very scary thought, but at the same time, it's a very novel like feeling to be in that universe.
And even in the sense of the trailers and the footage coming up, they really have a great sense of detail in that what if scenario, breaking down to even like if television shows were made with the fascist interest, I should say, in the fascist takeover in that sense, how they would be constructed within that realm. I think that's just really just they have at Bethesda have taken a really good, strong look at how this was going to be comprised, and definitely I expect Wolfenstein 2 to tell even a better narrative within that Wolfenstein framework. So,
right, and they've been super clever about their marketing campaign with this. Like Bethesda has a very impressive marketing gig going on right now with the propaganda commercials and the showing the setting and like the footage we saw at E3 with the guy sitting in the diner and stuff, and like it was truly terrifying, but at the same time it was so cool to look at. So yeah.
So what else did you have in mind as far as games that you're looking forward to coming up in the next 4 months?
All right, so I'm looking forward to Forza 7. There's not really a lot to say about that, but because it is a Forza game. But Forza is one of those games that I like to sit down and play, and I don't have to think about anything. I don't really have to do anything. I just have to press the trigger, and I have to press the trigger, joystick, and brake. That's it. I can sit down and come home from work, kind of sit down, lay back, and just play Forza. So that's one thing I'm looking forward to. But as far as October goes, I think that The Evil Within is actually my my #1 most anticipated game, because I don't know if you played the first one, but it was probably one of the scariest games I've ever played in my life. And it's that's saying a lot, because I spent a lot of hours in Dead Space, and while it's not the same type of scary, it's still something about it, man. It's like when you're scared, like when things are popping out at you, you have to like process what you're thinking as far as like, I need to go this way, I need to shoot this, I need to conserve ammo. Like it's so hard not to just freak out and just fire your gun everywhere. So it's a very interesting game. It's got a very good story to go along with it.
That's definitely a great way to say it. Now with Forza, do you think there's a little bit of an impetus by Microsoft to really try and provide a higher bar for the series, because there may be a little bit of stagnation with so many iterations over so many years? And with Gran Turismo, both you and I saw Gran Turismo, and we were actually, with the footage we've got, which again, if you want to take a look at a lot of the footage from great many of these games that are going to become available later this year, you want to check out the Humanica Media YouTube page and check out the E3 2017 diaries that Josh posted that have footage of a lot of these games indeed. And Gran Turismo, I don't know, it's been getting all over the place as far as people's thoughts on it, but I think it looks pretty good. What were your thoughts as far as maybe giving a little bit of a boost to Forza becoming an even better racing game?
I know we've talked about this before. The fact that Gran Turismo might be good. Like the game looks beautiful. It looks fun. It seems to have taken on that that old persona of the original two Gran Turismo games back on the PlayStation 1. that kind of pulled you into the whole idea of a racing simulator. But they kind of, over the years, they kind of got stagnant, and Gran Turismo 3 was pretty bad, and I think it was 4 that had, or it was either 4 or 5 that had the half of the game was actually coaching drivers instead of racing, and that was not, that was when I felt like the franchise kind of went downhill a little bit. The as far as competing with Forza goes, like, yeah, maybe it'll outdo the new Forza, but at the same time, you have to remember Forza is an annual game, and it's always a game that Microsoft uses to show off whether it's like upgraded graphics or obviously with the Xbox One X and it's a show game more than anything, but it's an annual thing. So I don't think Gran Turismo really, like, they might knock it off its pedestal for a bit, but come next year, people are going to forget all about Gran Turismo unless they give some sort of consistency in their franchise.
I don't blame you, but what I will say in response to that is that the audience which could potentially benefit from this is much larger on the PlayStation 4 than what the Xbox One is offering with Forza at this point. So maybe if the game is, obviously fans of PlayStation 4 need a good game to need a good racing game to come out, because the level of entrance so far has not been up to speed. Sorry, EA, wasn't a pun on you, but I know Need to Speed's coming out this year as well, but that's beside the point. So I'm still waiting for a good game, a really good racing game to come out on the PlayStation 4, and I'm hoping Gran Turismo fits the bill.
Right, and I think that Gran Turismo has the potential. Like, because there's not a lot of great racing games on the PS4. Xbox, if you're an Xbox fan, you're not going to go out and buy a PlayStation just to play Gran Turismo. So I think Gran Turismo really has a chance to reel the fans of the franchise back in, or those of us who have PlayStations. But I think it would be wise maybe on their part to release some DLC that goes beyond like your normal car packages or new tracks. Give them something to keep them motivated to keep playing. If that makes any sense.
Absolutely. And while we're speaking about Xbox, they're also coming out with some really interesting titles that maybe people are kind of overlooking, that maybe we need to focus on in regards to possibly looking at them more in regards to Cuphead and also Sea of Thieves. I've seen both in footage as far as up close at E3 and also at the GameStop Expo last week. What are your thoughts on Cuphead and Sea of Thieves?
I think Cuphead looks fun. That one got announced at E3, 2 years ago? So it's kind of been a long time in the making, and it looks fun as far as that kind of platformer goes. So I'm definitely willing to give it a try. And as for Sea of Thieves, I don't know if was there a solid release date announced on that yet?
Oh, I'm sorry, not as of yet on that one. People were still looking forward for the fall, but yeah, you're right. There's nothing solid on Sea of Thieves, and most likely it's a 2018. So we'll just disregard. I'll edit that out.
But it looks fun, and I have no doubt that it's going to sell bundles when it comes out.
So your thoughts on Cuphead is just that it looks like a really solid game. It's taken a while for a game of this, I should say, magnitude, because it's not a full-fledged, full-priced, full-tilt $59.99 game. I know it was a smaller game that's been made out to be something more. Microsoft has asked it to be a little bit better in development as far as becoming a broader, more expansive game, but it's still maybe thought of as far as not a full-fledged AAA game, correct?
Right. Well, it started out as an indie game. Like, it was from I forget who the developers were, but they were a very small studio, technically considered indie developers. And the word behind the game, it got out, and reviewers started talking about it, podcasters started talking about it, and all of a sudden there's this big flood of people who wanted to play it. So I think that's what originally caught Microsoft's eye. And that's the great thing about Microsoft, is it kind of, unlike Sony and up until you know, Nintendo kind of made the mistake of oversaturating their market with indie games in the past, but Xbox has always been really good at putting their support behind games that they truly believe will be good with the you know, do well with audiences. And I hope that this game is worth the wait, and it looks fun. I'm willing to give it a try, but I'm more willing to hear what people think of it first before I go out and spend the money on it, because there's going to be a ton of other games I'd probably rather play up until that point.
Now, we've broken down a lot of games so far, and I know there's still quite a few more to go. And, you know, obviously Star Wars Battlefront 2, that's something we definitely have taken a look at before as something being very, very good. And with the space battles new and improved actually emanating as something I definitely looking forward to as well. But what about a game like Middle-earth Shadow of War? It's actually a sequel to one of the best video games of that year it came out previously, the previous iteration. In fact, it garnered many Game of the Year awards, including GameSource. So I ask you, what are your thoughts on Middle-earth Shadow of War? Because I'm really excited to see that game coming out very soon.
It's weird. I was talking about this game with somebody today. Have you noticed how heavily Warner Brothers is marketing this game? That's something they didn't, like with Shadow of Mordor, they didn't really do it too well. It just kind of appeared out of nowhere, and then all of a sudden it was out on shelves, and it reviewed relatively well for a game that does something like that. But
I mean, because they didn't have any confidence, because Lord of the Rings games have always been a mixed bag for them in the past. And at that time, they were kind of associating, and the whole series now, between both iterations, there's a you know, obviously a relation to the Lord of the Rings universe, but then they kind of want to make it now they want to kind of make it separately and on its own.
Right, and it just goes to show you that there is still a love for the Lord of the Rings universe. It's not one of those, because Lord of the Rings, like the original, what was it, the Two Towers and Return of the King on Xbox, the old Xbox, were very good games.
Yes, Two Towers was one of my favorite on the original Xbox.
It's just something about having a 4-player dungeon crawler that's just really brought back memories, like the Gauntlet Legacy days. So it would be cool if they had some kind of feature like that in Shadows of Mordor. I doubt they will, but it's a fascinating world, and I like the new dynamic of you building an army. But I just hope that doesn't take away, because a lot of what made the other game good was that you could kind of walk around and you didn't have to rely on anybody to do anything. You just kind of walk around and do your thing. And granted, the Nemesis system got frustrating at times, but it was still a very, very fun game. So I'm hoping that this one, they don't put so much emphasis on building an army that you have to literally play for hours to gather up all these troops before you can move on with the story. But I'm very intrigued by it.
As am I. I think it's going to be another really good entry for the Middle-earth series. I'm just looking forward to be able to see how developed they will have even more of the Nemesis system. And I'm looking forward to seeing what you can do with that expansive universe. And actually, a lot of people that didn't like or didn't care for the Lord of the Rings universe, or didn't even really know much about it, actually really got into the Middle-earth series and that actually was part of the reason why it did so well, is because you didn't have to have a preset knowledge or a affinity for the Lord of the Rings universe before playing the game. And actually, even if you still don't, it doesn't matter, because it seemed to flow well on its own. So that's definitely some great thoughts indeed. Any last games that you think should be noted on the way out, as far as this fall being a game to watch, or games to watch this upcoming fall season?
Yeah, we got some good stuff coming in on the Switch. We have the Super Mario Odyssey, which is obviously looks pretty fun. I haven't picked up Rabbids yet. I probably will sometime this week. And they also have the Skyrim's finally making its way to Switch, so it'll be interesting to see how they handled the graphic downgrade to make it compatible with Switch, but still it looks okay. It looks pretty solid, and I'm just excited to have games to play on the Switch because I bought that thing and I haven't played it since Zelda. Yeah, other than that, like I don't really. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, it seems like October is the heaviest month as far as good games go. But Star Wars Battlefront's coming out, so I'm pretty excited about that. I want to play the single player campaign. I know you're a huge Battlefront fan. What are you thinking about this game?
Battlefront 2, I'm really excited for, especially the fact that they're enhancing the actual space battles to actually be space battles. That part I'm really intrigued by. I've seen the action. I've actually been a part of it as far as testing out for it. When I was at the GameStop Expo, I got to play around as far as is concerned, a full multiplayer space battle. And I just was really having a lot of fun in doing it. You're flying through the ships and going at it. You've got target points, not just actual other players in their spaceships and whatnot, but you also have the targets of actual the floating battalion that you have to go against, whether you're part of the rebel or the rebellion or the empire, and you're able to go ahead and target some of these command ships and whatnot, and actually destroy them for extra bonuses and whatnot during the course of the game as well. So that definitely provides a lot of intrigue, and just the actual look and feel of it feels more Star Wars each and every time I look at it, or when I played it at GameStop Expo. So that was something definitely to look forward to indeed. But there's 3 games I really want to point out that have got solid target dates already, and Monster Hunter Stories, I think if hopefully it will be something that a lot of people will be able to get into when it comes out in September. Obviously continues that whole Monster Hunter success, and I definitely think that a lot of people will be targeting as well if they really like their.
Let me ask you this: do you think that because Monster Hunter does very well over in Japan, it does very well on Nintendo consoles, but do you think that because you're kind of stepping into a new league of gaming, putting it on a high-powered console like the PlayStation 4? Do you think that it's going to translate well with fans, and do you think that it will bring new fans to the series?
I think it will. I think a lot of people have been waiting for Monster Hunter to be on a platform here in Europe and the United States, on a platform like this, and I just cannot wait for the response to Monster Hunter, because I think it actually will sell well once it translates over to the new platforms. But that's just a guess on my part, but I think it definitely, with the right promotion, will definitely do so. Another game I want to talk about, Marvel versus Capcom Infinite. Obviously we've had a lot of success with Injustice Gods Among Us 2, and that's done a great job as far as presentation, look, and obviously the fighting game world has taken it and fully embraced it as far as a real quality game. Marvel versus Capcom Infinite, we're going to wait and see. It's been a long time since the Marvel versus Capcom universe has really had a game that that's centered around that universe. It's been a long time, so definitely it's a welcome back to the new fighting game scene. So I'm hoping that Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite will actually prove to be something that's definitely along the lines of those great fighting games, like I said, with Injustice 2, and also as well last year Street Fighter V, after it got all the bugs and after it got all the additions worked out, Street Fighter V actually developed into a great fighting game in its own right. So, it remains to be seen, but I'm very hopeful that Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite will actually fit the bill for fighting fans as well. And then one last one, how can we forget, but finally coming out as well is South Park: The Fractured But Whole. That's coming out in mid-October. And I'll tell you what, a lot of people are excited to see that continuation of that series as well.
Did it get pushed back again? I thought they get pushed back to the spring.
Right now, it's listed at GameStop as being on the 17th.
Oh, perfect! Hey, there we go.
Yeah. So I mean, as of now, I haven't heard that as of yet. So
like it's kind of in the same vein as Mario Rabbids as far as the that tactical type gameplay goes.
Exactly. So yeah, as of right now, it's still coming out October 17th. So definitely a lot of definitely a lot of RPG fans are looking forward to, and a lot of South Park fans obviously as well, because the first one did so well with audiences, and hopefully this one will actually follow up as strong indeed. What are your thoughts out there on the games that are coming out this fall season? There's going to be a lot of great games coming out this fall. I know there's a lot of titles that people were looking forward to that maybe have been pushed back to 2018, but there's still a bevy of games to play in September, October, November, and December that are coming out. So what are your thoughts on what the best ones are going to be for the Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC? Share us your thoughts, popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Also as well, Humanity Media, Game Source, and Pop Culture Cosmos on Facebook and Twitter as well. Well, like I said, it's going to be a great show today. We've also got Rob McCallum weighing in with his thoughts, and I'm going to be talking with him here right after the break on his thoughts about what games he's looking forward to this fall season. And then for the hardcore gaming contingent, with Destiny 2 coming out this week, you've got a great group of guys from the In Time We Come that has been so much a part of Destiny. They're stopping by. All 7 of them are going to be talking. All 6 of them, I'm sorry, are going to be stopping by to talk about Destiny 2 and what their hopes are for the game for the hardcore contingent. Definitely going to be a great broadcast indeed. We hopefully will be able to get all that in packed within 1 hour. And Josh will let us know exactly his thoughts on the Game of Thrones as well. This latest season, with only one more season to go. He's going to share his thoughts on season 7 with us. It's going to be a great program indeed. But first, we've got a great song from our good friend Chad and Hyperschmidt. And this is I Can Tell, and this is the Pop Culture Cosmos. And we're back to close out the show. This is Gerald Glassford from Pop Culture Cosmos and Game Source. We truly appreciate you being part of the broadcast here today. If for some reason you cannot get our broadcast on the Podcast Radio Network or the Humanican Media Show, as far as the Attack of the Humanicans, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific on the Podcast Radio Network, or the PCC Multiverse, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific on Friday, that's no problem. There are always alternative ways to get those shows. The Attack of the Mannequins is coming to iTunes, correct?
Right, it'll get there eventually. I'm trying to ramp up a few things, so I'll have more news on that here soon.
Okay, all right. No, just wanted to make sure as well. But for the Pop Culture Cosmos and the PCC Multiverse, you can always get our show on a bevy of downloading and streaming options. And if you get a chance, you can check that out, because it's also available on iTunes, aka Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, the Ace Podcast Network, Overcast.fm, Player.fm, Google Play, Stitcher Radio, Podcast.com, Mixcloud, the ESO Network, the Tangibound Network, the Gunna Geek Network, Cast Crunch, Social Podcasts, and popculturecosmos.wordpress.com. And if you do decide to go ahead, download and stream those options, you always get we try to anyways. We try very hard to put an extra little bit of something in there for you, like an interview, podcast, what have you, just for listening. In fact, this episode of the Pop Culture Cosmos, as a bonus, will have a pop culture, a pop culture roundtable with Rob and I talking about the latest goings on in the pop culture world. He's going to quiz me on them right off there. No preparation. He's just going to talk about various topics within the pop culture world that have popped up, and I'm just going to go ahead and we're going to talk about both of that back and forth. We have that lined up as free content added on to this episode on any one of those download channels. And also as well, the debut episode of Inside Sports as well with Charles Smith and also, what's his name? What is his name?
Chris Lardieri.
Yes, Chris Lardieri. Chris Lardieri, they're actually, great guys starting out again this great Inside Sports podcast, and you can check out the first episode as an add-on to this show on our downloading and streaming options. Well, Josh, it's come to an end for now. The season 7 has concluded with the Game of Thrones. A lot went on this year. A lot went on in that abbreviated season with another season, the final season to go, and that's even more abbreviated. So I ask you, Josh, what were your thoughts on season 7 as a whole, and do you recommend it to people, especially those Game of Thrones fans out there?
Oh yeah, for sure. I've been spent the past week kind of reading all the conspiracy theories, the what fans are expecting, what fans thought, what people are guessing this means, what people are guessing that means. I think that as far as Game of Thrones goes, we as the fans tend to look a little too far into things sometimes, though sometimes those theories do prove true. But this past season was funny in the fact that we learned a lot of stuff that we were already kind of guessing at, and the stuff that was like a huge deal, I can see it because there's an episode where they had Sam and Gilly were in the library, and she had brought up something about Rhaegar Targaryen getting an annulment to his marriage, and that was like a huge thing, and they kind of snuffed it out because now you know why they wanted to bring it up in the season finale. So that was that was interesting, but it's nice now because we had to sit through just five, 6 seasons of people sitting there just complaining and backstabbing and doing all. And granted, Cersei still does that, but it's just nice to finally
Someone always has to.
Yeah, it's an HBO show, but it was. I didn't like all the whining that led up to this moment. Like, I'm glad I sat there and got all the backstory, but it was so much. Like, it was like watching a brutal version of something on the CW, like at some time. So it's nice to finally be at a point where these characters are all coming together. All this, all the hardship and tragedy we sat through over the past 6 seasons finally led to something. And fortunately, there's not a lot that, as far as that goes, that can happen in season 8 because it's only I think 6 episodes, but it's coming down to something really intense. Now people are learning that the Night King and his army are a real threat. And he's got a dragon. Don't get me started on the physics behind a dragon with holes in its wings flying around, but it's all coming down to this big moment. We're gonna have some good battles. We're gonna have some more conspiracy theories, obviously, but it's all gonna culminate in something. And I'm predicting a Jon Snow, what's her name, Daenerys taking over Westeros. So hopefully, I think what everybody really wants, though, they thought that death scene with Littlefinger was satisfying. I think it'll be even more satisfying when somebody just decapitates Cersei. It's just the world will erupt in applause.
What I want to ask you is this: after that keen insight into season 7, what is there left for them to accomplish? And do you think HBO will be taking too much time between these episodes? Because there's talk it may not even enter the TV realm until 2019. So could that be too much time to spend between seasons? And unfortunately, some, not all, of course, but some of the interest that people have in Game of Thrones could fizzle out?
It's weird because it's taken 7 seasons for that momentum to build up to the point where it's at now. It's kind of a word of mouth thing, and I think that they have momentum, so it'd be smart to maybe air these episodes in 2018, even if it's in the later quarter of 2018. But even if they waited to 2019, I think they're not going to lose any fans. If anything, they might gain more because people will have taken that that year and a half to sit back and catch up on all the episodes that they haven't seen, or people sit there and marathon it. Because every day I've checked my computer and there have been Game of Thrones articles on the internet, so I don't think that that's going to be stopping anytime soon. And even if they feel like fans are dropping off, all they really have to do is put a teaser up there, put like a logo that has Jon Snow breathing or something, and people go nuts over it again. So it's really become a cult phenomenon, sort of like Star Wars. It started out kind of slow, and then as word of mouth picked up and more people became interested in, it's kind of the show now that defined our generation.
It's definitely a show that has captivated the world audience right now, and everybody's asking, how is it going to end? But it's not going to end for a little while, but let's hope as well that HBO will get the notice and get the memo and get the interest of the fans that are truly hoping for a 2018 release of the final season, and we'll go from there. We'll have to wait and see. My money is still that they could probably put it in 2019, but like I said, we'll have to wait and see. What are your thoughts on the Game of Thrones Season 7? Was it to your expectations, or could they have done something more to make it even more lively, or added some more dragons maybe? Share us your thoughts, popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Also as well, Pop Culture Cosmos, Humanica Media, and Game Source on Facebook and Twitter as well. Well, Josh, before we head on out, any last thoughts on what's going on, or also as well, what's going on with Humanica Media?
Just check out Inside Sports. Keep paying attention to the Facebook page. We'll have some good stuff. Super BS, Topicocalypse. Check us out on YouTube, because that kind of helps me out a little bit more. Podcast.com, iTunes, ratings, reviews, all that good stuff. And Attack the Humanican will be downloadable soon. I will have more news on that for you here shortly. But yeah, thanks a lot, guys, and keep following Pop Culture Cosmos. We're always happy to. And don't forget, we have a website. You go on our website, you can read some cool stuff. There's an article up there. I just put a review for Hellblade. Tomorrow I'll be posting my Uncharted 2 or Uncharted Lost Legacy review. So just keep reading, man. Keep reading.
Absolutely. Keep following us on the popculturecosmos.wordpress.com site. Also as well, just keep in tune with us on the Pop Culture Cosmos channels, Humanica Media channels, and keep rating and reviewing our shows, because I guess, as always, what Josh says, it is the currency of the podcast realm. So for Josh Peterson, this is Gerald Glassford, and it's another beautiful day in paradise here in the Pop Culture Cosmos. We thank you for listening. And here's hoping you have yourself a great day.